What's up, you guys? If you guys saw yesterday's tutorial, then you probably made a request to us to make this kick for you guys. So yeah, you guys really want to know how to make these kicks, so I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. And on top of that, just in case you don't have the plugins I'm using for, on the way I make my kicks, I'm gonna give you guys two samples that I made from this session. So it'll pretty much be a clean kick and a processed kick. So that will be linked in the description below. It'll take you to my Facebook page, and then from there you go the free download section, and you'll be able to download those kicks from there. And also you'll probably see all those other presets and stuff that I have there, and I upload a lot of presets and stuff and free stuff periodically there, so be sure to stay to watch out for that and look out for those new things. So these are the two samples I will give to you guys. It's pretty much taken from the main kick here. This is the kick I made for this song. It didn't take me long to do. It took like 10 minutes or so. And let's see. This is what the processed one sounds like. And this is what the clean one sounds like. So you know, those will be there, and that is just for those people that don't have the plugins I use to make this main kick, which I will now get into. So what I use to make my kicks for this kind of genre is usually it's a combination of bassism and homicide. So homicide is just what gives that extra distortion, and that's what you're hearing in the processed sample that I made. And we're going to turn that off for right now. So we're just going to turn off homicide, and we're going to listen to bassism, which is made by Intelligent Sounds and Music. It's a Dutch company, I believe, and it probably costs like $40 or something like that. Really recommend this plugin if you're going to be doing this kind of style of music and you want kicks like that. And also very soon I'm going to hold on, my phone's ringing here. Very soon we're gonna start selling I'm gonna start making sample packs. So I make kicks in a lot of crazy ways. I sample weird things, and I make them here in bassism, and I make them in other synthesizers. So if you guys very soon like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think about a $10 sample pack with like 180 kicks for this genre and in different keys and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that too. And the way I usually make kicks with bassism is I'll start from left to right, and I'll pretty much go top to bottom on each side, and that's kind of what I do there. And I did a much longer in-depth video called Plugin Talk Series Bassism. It's on this channel, I believe, and pretty much I go way in depth into what each thing does, but I'll just quickly fly through and show you guys what I set here. So the first thing I did was I set the beginning transient here to 10K, pretty much all the way up. I set that to last 98.3 milliseconds. Then I set the V-sweep to 0.95. Then I put the distortion up all the way to 1. And then I set the body, the tail, pretty much, I select the frequency of 53.1 hertz. So that's pretty much the tail frequency, and I set that to be really long, so I put it to 391.5 milliseconds, so that's how long this tail will last. And then I put the decay to 68.3 milliseconds, so that's pretty much when it starts to kind of fade out. And then for decay type, I selected a linear whatever expo whatever. It kind of cuts itself off there, but there's only like 4 types, so you know, it's pretty much right here. I didn't do anything with envelope, just kind of left it at a full envelope, so I just have that. And then for noise, I selected a band pass, so you have low pass, high pass. I selected a band pass here. I selected the frequency of 200 hertz, so I was kind of going for like a really low hi-hat frequency. This is like the lowest frequency you'll hear in like really low hi-hats. So I kind of just wanted to like layer that in at the beginning of the sound. I didn't do anything with reso. I went with 147.7 millisecond decay time, so it, really just plays with the beginning transient there. Usually I'll set this to be the same or around the same range as my T-sweep. And so that's kind of where I set that. And for volume, I just put at -9.7 dB. So that's everything I did in bass system. Really easy plugin to use. You get a lot of great sounds out of that. Let's see. Next thing I did was I added an homicide, but this is what it sounds like clean. Then now with homicide. So I didn't go overboard in making it too distorted because I had a reference track, which was, let's see. Let me get rid of homicide real quick. This was my reference track to these kicks. You can hear that they're similar, and the distortion in the original wasn't overdone, which I really like. It's kind of just a nice poofy, punchy kick. And yeah, I use the word poofy. I don't know why. Just has like a poof or oomph kind of sound to it. So what I did here in Homicide was I pretty much do the same thing every time I use Homicide. I set my bands first, which is pretty much the frequency range, because this is like a multi-band distortion plugin, which is why it's the best to use for distortion on kicks and bass sounds, because you can you can just pretty much distort individual frequency ranges. So that's why Homicide is beast. And Homicide I think costs like $120, something like that, made by Force. You can check that out. They make really good other plugins. So I set my first band range to 138 hertz, so it's pretty much everything beneath that. It's like the low end. Then I set my second band to be like the low mid, sort of. It's still really in the low end range, so it's pretty much everything beneath 530 hertz and everything above 130 hertz. So that's where that range is. Then the third range is kind of like more of the mids, or kind of the high mids. So it's like everything underneath 4,000 4K, so it's 3,819 hertz, and it's everything above this range. And then band 4 is everything above 300 and 819 hertz. So this is like the high end. So this is kind of like how I like to divide it. I like to go low end, low mids, high mids, and then highs. But obviously I skewed away a little bit from the proper frequency ranges of what those are. So let's see. Now that we've set our band ranges, next thing you want to do is stereo link this shit, because Homicide gets glitchy because it's doing so much processing. It's not that it's taxing on my CPU or anything like that. At least for me, if I don't stereo link it, then it gets a little mono and kind of, I don't know, it just glitches out in this weird way. And it doesn't help. It only does it when you kind of open the plugin, which is weird because that's when you need it to work, when you're tweaking stuff. So now that we've set our band ranges, clicked on stereo link, now we can solo our first range, and make sure I'm soloed here too. We can solo our first band range, and since it's like the lowest lows, I'm not gonna overdo the distortion, because when you distort too much, you lose the high end. So I mean the low end. So I have the mix here at 71% dry and 29% wet. So, I'm preserving that low end while still distorting it. And so I put the shape of that to be 44% fat, which is pretty much like an EQ. Fat is pretty much wider and sharp is pretty much narrower. And then I put the body to 100%, and then the gain here is like pretty much how much the amount of distortion is you're applying in, or kind of like an input and a threshold sort of thing. So I left that 0 dB. Then I selected this distortion type right here, this one right here, and that's in standard. So you have a lot of options. It's pretty much you have like all these, and then you have like a threefold version of those, and then like an odd version. And when I'm kind of doing this, I just click on this little arrow in this red box, and I just kind of click down and listen through each one until I find one I like. So it sounds like this. That's what I'm talking about. That's Ummet Ozcan being glitchy. It's only playing out one side right now. It's so weird. Just kind of gonna bypass it a bunch and then. There we go. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Anyway, we're just gonna fly through that. Let it glitch. Just kind of copy down what I'm getting anyway. So now band 2, the fatness is at 38%, body up 100%, gain is at plus 29 dB, and the mix is at 100%, and I went with this wave this distortion type right here. So what this one sounds like by itself. And that's weird. Oh, I have a theory here. Okay, whatever. So that's kind of why I set band 2 to 2. That's a weird sentence. And band 3 now. So it's neutral, so it's pretty much right down the middle between fat and sharp. Body's at 100%. Gain is at plus 7 dB. And I went with this distortion type right here. And the mix for this one is at 66% dry, 34% wet. And I didn't even do anything to the high end because I didn't want to distort that. And that's everything I did for my main kick. And then all I did in addition to that, I don't have anything on my group or my master that's affecting these kicks in any way. So this is my main kick, how I made that. The only thing I did was I just layered in another kick to kind of add in more punch to the beginning of it. So this is what that sounds like. I'll turn off the EQ and transient master here. So it's a very typical kick, just very boring, very dry. It's just has like this little high-end quality to it that I heard and I wanted to boost that ridiculously so it could just blend in perfectly. When you're layering in a kick with something like bassism and it's very processed, you don't want to add in a kick that starts to take away what you made. You want to kind of just fill in the little spots that need to be filled with that and pretty much get out of the way of everything else. Because if I added in another bassy kick to this one, the two would clash and cancel each other out. So I didn't want to cancel out my main kick, which is this one. So now with the EQ, I just killed a little bit of that low end. It wasn't a very low end kick anyway to start with, so that helped. I didn't have to cut out too much. Then I cut out the 1K range by like 8 dB, so just to leave a lot of that, to cut out a lot of that unnecessary frequency from this kick. Then I boosted the 5K range by like 12 dB, so it's just totally ridiculous right there. And see what you hear here, what I did with the EQ was I just made pretty much, I just really just wanted to hear that high end. And then with Transient Master here, which is a Native Instruments Complete 9 bundled plugin, or you could buy it individually off Native Instruments website, I think. I just added 35% attack and killed the tail, which is called sustain here, by 68%. So that way I'm just I'm not hearing the body and tail drag out. I'm just kind of killing it really quick, so it's just really just the punch and just this frequency of the kick. And if you don't have any transient plugins, you can also just go fades in any DAW. I'm sure every DAW has a fades, and you can just fade out the tail and just bring this all the way to the left to kind of get the most you can out of the attack. But obviously the downfall with this is you can't make the attacks even sharper than what they are with fades. So that's everything I did, you guys. Like, subscribe, comment, share, you know, whatever. Let us know what you guys think about this, and if you guys want to hear a or are excited about a sample pack of kicks, just kicks in this kind of genre, let me know. Again, it'll be like $10. It'll be 180 kicks, so it'll be a big big sample pack, and they'll be really great. So thanks guys for watching. Lates.